Yo, what's good everybody? I'm your boy Jadiro, and this is my beginner's guide for Diablo 4 in Season 4, no BS. Now I'm going to try my best to keep the terminology simple for you guys to help you understand, but if you do have some familiarity with ARPGs, RPGs, or MMOs, this should be pretty simple for you. And I've seen a lot of requests in the comments to do something like this, a beginner's guide, and I thought what better time than with the release of Season 4. So the first thing you're going to see on this screen here is the create new character. You won't have all these characters like me, so what you want to simply do is select this tab. Now once you select this tab, you'll be presented with the 5 classes of Diablo 4. You have the Barbarian, the Necromancer, the Sorcerer, the Rogue, and my personal favorite, the Druid. Now if you want to feel like an absolute boss and just cleave through everything in Diablo 4, go the Barbarian. If you want to raise the dead to do your bidding, go the Necromancer. And if you want to cast fire, ice, and electricity, go the Sorcerer. If you like doing big damage up close or from afar, go the Rogue. And if you like shapeshifting, like turning into a werebear or a werewolf, or casting elemental spells, go the Druid. But if you want my no BS answer, guys, if you're absolutely new to Diablo 4, simply just go the Barbarian or the Necromancer. Again, the Barbarian is the most simple class to learn in this game, and it has the easiest kit to understand. But truthfully, they absolutely buffed the Necromancer to crazy proportions, and you can literally play the game on autopilot. So I suggest you go the Necromancer as well. And once you guys are done watching this video, if you want to go check out a couple of guides of mine, I have the leveling guide for Barbarian and Necromancer. I'll put one about here, and I'll try and put one like over here. So I'll give you some time to click on that. But guys, moving right along, if you do have some experience in the ARPG genre, go any of the classes. They're all fun, they're very unique and very different from each other. So I suggest you pick any class you want. But for the purpose of today's video, let's go the Barbarian. So once you select the class that you want to go, you're going to be presented with this screen. So you could choose either side if you want, and you can go to customize. And what I simply do is I just simply hit R and I randomize through all the features to keep things quick and snappy. However, you can go through the face and body, hair, and accessories if you want. Let's keep going here. Boom, perfect, love it. Now you get to this finalized screen and be presented with a couple options here. Now the first tab you have here is the hardcore mode. I suggest you don't go this if you're a beginner to this game, because as soon as your hero dies, it dies permanently. You never get them back. Next, you'll have the skip campaign button, guys. You can skip the campaign. I do suggest that you skip the campaign if you don't want to go through the story mode, but however, there's some reasons I suggest you don't skip the campaign, and we'll go over that later. Next, you'll go name required, and you could simply just randomize the name if you want, or you could select the name. I'm going to put Jadiro here. Let's put Jadiro B for Jadiro Barb. I think I already have a Barb, so let's do Jadiro BB. The next option you have down here is Start Game. The webcam is blocking it, but what you want to simply do is hit Start Game. And now you'll be presented with the Select Hero realm. So now there's the Seasonal realm and the Eternal realm. Guys, go to the Seasonal realm because it doesn't matter what character you make, they always go to the Eternal realm as soon as the season's over. And every season lasts about 3 months. Not only that, the Seasonal realm offers new content, so like new gear, new abilities. It's definitely way more fun than just going the Eternal realm. And once you select the realm of your choice, you're going to want to choose your difficulty. And there's World Tier 1, so I recommend this if you're new to Diablo 4 or ARPGs at all, and you need to understand the game better, and you kind of want to have like an easy transition into the harder difficulties, then go World Tier 1. But if you do have some sort of experience or you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, go World Tier 2. Now, once you selected your world tier, you're going to hit start down here, and it's going to bring you into the world of Diablo 4. All right, guys, here you are. You start a new game, and you're in the world of Diablo 4. Now, I'm going to explain to you what you're seeing on your screen here. So, if you move your mouse or your controller, whatever you're playing on, you can see you can move your character around. In the bottom left here, you have your health globe. So, this is where your health is represented, and if that hits 0, your guy's done. Next to it here, it shows your character level. It's that little golden triangle. And then next to that little golden triangle is your experience bar. So, once this gets filled, you get leveled up. Below the experience bar, you'll see your ability bars. So as you level up through this game, you start to get skills. We'll talk more about that later, but this is where you put all your abilities. Next, you have spacebar here, or whatever it is on controller, and this simply helps you jump or evade. This will help you like stay out of combat or like dodge a missile or something like that. It's pretty cool. Next, you'll see this flashing gold triangle, and every time you see this, it means you have unspent ability points. And before I forget, you also have a potion. So in this game, you have potions. So if you're taking too much damage and you don't want your character to get murked, just simply hit Q or whatever button is on controller and you can heal your character. And below the potion, we have Z here, which summons your mount. We'll talk more about this later, and this is also a reason why you should do the campaign. Next, we have Town Portal here. So this is whenever you're out there doing your thing and you're grinding and you're getting experience and you're getting loot, and you want to go back to the major city to kind of refresh and go back out, you can simply hit Town Portal and it will portal you to the closest major city. And finally, we have the secondary globe on the right-hand side. So this is where your resource is. And for barbarians in particular, it's Fury. So you'll see this fill up, and when this fills up, you'll be able to spend it with your abilities. Again, we'll talk more about that later. And every class has a different type of resource. So for barbarians, again, it's fury. Necromancers is essence. Then you have druid, which is spirit. Then you have rogue, which is energy. And then you have sorcerer, which is mana. All right, guys, so basically that's the HUD. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is a very important fundamental mechanic in this game. It's called reputation. All right, guys, as you can see, there's a massive map here. This is called Sanctuary. And on this map, it's broken up into 5 cities or 5 different factions. And those factions are the Fractured Peaks, Skosklen, Dry Steppes, Kegistan, or Hazar. And as you can see here, we have Skosklen, we have the Dry Steppes, we have Kegistan, then we have Hazar, and then we have the Fractured Peaks. So how you grind reputation or how you gain reputation with these factions is by completing these simple tasks. And the reason that you want to complete these simple tasks is because it provides you with fundamental things that you're going to want on your character throughout the game. You'll see here that it offers you additional skill points, additional potions. So you usually start off with 5. As you can see, I have 9. That's because I've already done the reputation grind on one character. And once you do the reputation grind on one character, it's across the board for all the characters you create thereafter. But again, going back here, you can see I get additional skill points. I get max obols. We'll talk about that later. And then we get more Paragon points. And we'll also talk about that later. So let's break down all these different tasks. So the first one I want to talk about here is waypoints. So if you look at the map of Sanctuary, you can see there's these blue highlighted crests here, and these are waypoints. So right now I'm in Kielfashad, which is a smaller town. And if I want to go to Saragar, I can simply just click on this highlighted crest and I could fast travel there without having to physically or manually get there myself. And by simply collecting these blue crests, I gain reputation or renown. It's quite easy. The next thing I want to talk about here is area discovered. So this is even more simple. So simply by just discovering areas on the map, you're going to get renown and reputation based on the faction that you're looking in that area of. Then we have strongholds, which reward the most reputation. As you can see here on the map, strongholds are indicated by like this red skull thing that looks like it has a house over it. These are like little mini quests on the map that you complete. So basically what you do is you invade an enemy encampment. And once you've completed the little tasks in that encampment, you unlock the stronghold. And by unlocking the stronghold, you get 100 renown. So that's the most renown you can get from doing the tasks to gain reputation. Now, next thing I want to talk about here is side quests. So you have something called side quests and priority quests. So your priority quests are basically like the main mission, the campaign, and then you have side quests, which are indicated by these blue exclamation marks. And I'll go collect one so you can see it here. So as you can see here, I just went over here and collected that side quest, and it's indicated as a side quest and it's highlighted in blue. Now you can also click on the quest of your choice and you can track it. So it'll show it up on the map. As you can see here, once I click on the HELLTIDE Rises, it shows up here. And then when I click on this, it shows it's all the way up here. And it'll show you where you can search for that side quest. And by completing these side quests, you get renown as well. Now over here, we also have side dungeons. There's tons of dungeons per capital of the map. And they're indicated by like these white looking gates. And what dungeons are, they're like instances where you go in and again, you have to complete objectives. Sometimes it's as simple as just defeating all the enemies on the map. And then sometimes it's defeating a huge boss at the end of it. It's quite fun. Now we also have these altars of Lilith, which are like these little statues throughout the map. And if there's anything important that you want to collect for renown, it's the altars of Lilith or the statues of Lilith, because that's what they look like. And as you can see, I've already collected all of them for every faction, and they're usually highlighted white, but when you collect them, they're highlighted gray. And how you can identify them on the map, you'll see like the statue and it has like a little red glowing orb in the middle of it. Now, if you want the real no BS answer to this, guys, you can literally go on Google Images. You could Google the different capitals, so like Skosklen or Fractured Peaks on Google Images, and it'll pull up, a Google image and it'll show you where all of them are. Now, guys, in summary, again, you want to collect all the faction because you're unlocking fundamental things that help your character progress a lot faster. So that's why this is one of the things you want to get out of the way first. And that's also why I recommend you do the campaign, because you'll be able to seamlessly do all these things while you're questing through the campaign. Another reason why you want to do the campaign is because you're going to unlock your mount. Now, your mount helps you get around the fastest in Sanctuary. So if you do have to manually travel from one spot to the next, your mount will help you get there faster. And again, in the campaign, there's a quest for it in Act 4. Once you unlock that quest, you'll get your mount. Now, guys, another thing is every time you start a new season or you start a game with Diablo 4, there's seasonal rewards. And not too many people mention this, but they have this little tree here where you can start collecting rewards. As you can see, I've already been doing it on other characters, but this is something you want to complete. And there's something I want to specifically mention here that's going to help you get better and level faster in the game. So by simply just playing the game, you're going to unlock all of this. Now, you can buy a battle pass. It's up to you if you want to do that, which will help you accelerate through this journey. But what you want to do is go to the seasonal blessings as you're leveling up. And the first one you're going to want to get here is the Urn of Aggression. Now, along this path, you're going to unlock something called Smoldering Ashes. And once you go into Seasonal Blessing, you want to invest this again into the Urn of Aggression because this will help boost your XP up by 20%, which means you're leveling faster. And then you'll also have chapters. So these are like mini objectives that you complete during the season. And what you'll be able to do is unlock stuff like platinum. So that's how you can buy like cool skins and unlock the battle pass if you want. So you don't necessarily have to pay for it. And then it also unlocks you these caches, which drop items and loot. We'll get more into loot later that help your character progress as well. Now, speaking on the seasonal theme, all the seasonal quests will be priority and they'll be indicated by like this green looking leaf, which I guess is meant to indicate the season. Now, another reason why you want to do the campaign is because in Diablo 4, there's something called vendors, and I'll explain more on all this at the end of this video, but you're going to want to unlock all these vendors. So you have everything from your blacksmith to your occultist to your jeweler, which currently isn't unlocked because I'm not at the level yet to unlock it. And then you'll also have stuff like your alchemist where you upgrade your potions. Again, this is why you want to do the campaign, because you'll seamlessly unlock all these vendors, and these are things that you need to be fundamentally successful in Diablo 4. Now, one thing I wanted to mention to you guys too, since we're in the main city, there's also something called a world tier statue. And now this world tier statue is where you can change the difficulty of the game while you're playing it. So if you're feeling like the game is a little too hard on veteran and you want to go down a little bit in difficulty, you can go to adventurer. However, there's something called capstone dungeons, which are like dungeons, but they unlock you to the next world tier difficulty. So here it says World Tier 3, you need to complete at level 50 to 70, and that World Tier dungeon is right here. It's actually in Kiovashad, and it's located here. It's called the Cathedral of Light. Now, if you want my honest advice, guys, once you're like level 38 or closer to 40, you can do that Capstone dungeon, even though it's level 50. And World Tier 4, it says you unlock at level 70, but guys, you can go in at level 55 in the game now. They've made it so much easier to level up in experience, and all the builds are a lot stronger. And with each increasing world tier, you can see you get more XP, you get more loot, and you also make the game more difficult for yourself, which makes it a challenge, which makes you encouraged to play the game more. So guys, I want to let you know I'm going to chapter everything in this video, and the next two chapters, in my personal opinion, are the most important. So guys, we're going to talk about that skill tree, and I remember telling you guys here, if you see this highlighted, you see it popping up on your screen, you can simply hit A or whatever button is on the controller, and it'll take you right to your skill tree. Perfect. Now, as you can see here, I have 10 available points. You will not have 10 available points on your first character, but because I did that reputation grind, I get to advance in the game a little further each time I make an alternative character because I did that reputation grind. But this is great because I get to demonstrate to you how the skill tree works. So one thing I want to stress here, guys, and pay close attention, is you have something called basic abilities, and once we move down here, we have core abilities, okay? And now for basic abilities, you could choose from 4 for each class, and what this is an ability that's always ready for you and it has no cooldown. And in some cases, for some classes, it also generates that resource. So like I was saying, for Barbarian, there's Fury. So you want your basic ability to generate the Fury for you. And how it works, as you can see here, is I have 10 available skill points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest my first skill point into a basic ability. And as you can see, this little red line starts to progress. And as it progresses even further, it unlocks my core abilities. Now, as for core abilities, you have your basic abilities, which in some cases, for some classes, it generates your resource. In some, it doesn't. However, once you have that resource full, you need to be able to spend that resource. And what you spend that resource on typically is your core ability. So in the simplest terms, you're generating with your basic abilities or not, and then you're spending all that resource on your core ability. And in the case of Barbarian, these are your generators for resource, and this is your spender, your core ability. So we're going to invest here into our core ability. Let's go Hammer of the Ancients. And as you can see, this red line starts to progress even more. We'll put one more in here, and then we'll finish off the tree. So as you can see, every ability has these little branches that fall off the tree. And this is where you could further fine tune that ability to be unique. And another thing I didn't mention is you can invest multiple skill points into the same ability. And I recommend, as a beginner, you only invest this into your core abilities. So as you can see, I can invest another one there, and it unlocks an additional tree. Now, guys, I want to keep this as basic as possible because this is a beginner's guide. Now, this is where everything changes amongst the classes. So this won't be the same on Druid as it is on Barbarian, or it won't be the same on Necromancer as it is Rogue. So these following nodes here will always change based on the class you're going. And in most cases, it's buffing your character with synergies like buffing the damage. And what I mean by buffing, I mean enhancing. So it's enhancing the damage you can do. It could also enhance the damage you take, so it can make you more resilient. And in some cases, like in Barbarian, it also gives you mobility. So this has mobility and damage. And that ability we're talking about here is Charge. So it'll help me move across the screen a lot faster while doing damage. And then we'll also have buffing abilities like I was talking about before. So when I use Warcry, it increases the damage I deal. So let's invest in some random abilities here, and I'll show you how to arrange your ability bar next. So I'll take one in Warcry, I'll take one in Challenging Shout, and I'll take one in Iron Skin, just for funsies. And then I'll put another one back in the Hammer of the Ancients. Now, as you can see here, our ability bar is now populated. We have our basic ability, then we have our core ability. These are the most fundamental things I want you guys to remember and use while you're playing Diablo 4. And then you'll have your other synergy abilities. Now, what you can do is you can simply hit S and it'll bring up your ability tree. So now you can drag and drop where you want your abilities to go. And as you can see, it will change on your ability bar. Pretty simple. And you can customize the bar however you like. Now, going back to this tree, guys, where it gets uniform again across all the classes is your ultimate skills and your key passives. Now, I'm going to go on a character I've already leveled, and I'll show you how this works next. All right, so here we are, my level 60 Barbarian. Now, I've already gotten to World Tier 4 with this Barbarian, but as you can see here, I have ultimate skills and I have my key passives. Now, as for your ultimate skills, guys, you don't always have to go an ultimate skill on the class you go. But one thing you always want to get on any class is the key passive. What the key passive does is it helps synergize your whole build together. And by synergize, I mean whatever core ability you're going or whatever kind of build you have in mind, this will help buff that build significantly. So you never want to miss out on a key passive, but you do have the option to go an ultimate skill or not. And one thing I want to mention here is you can only go one key passive and you can only go one ultimate ability at a time. Now, you guys might be looking at these smaller nodes here. So I call these secondary abilities. You can call them what you want, but they're secondary abilities. And what you can do is you can invest into this with your ability points. And what it will help do is it will help synergize your build even further. So you have stuff here again, like movement speed. So it'll just generally increase your movement speed. And then you also have nodes here that just generally increase the damage you deal. And then you have nodes that increase your maximum life, which makes you more resilient. And then you also have nodes that give you damage reduction, which makes you more resilient as well. Now, if you guys are like, Jadiro, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't have time to understand all that build nonsense. You guys can simply go to websites like MOBALYTICS here. And even I have some builds here. And you can simply click on any build you want to go. So I have some Druid, I have Necromancer, and I have a Barb build coming out soon. You can click on any of these and you can literally copy paste from my build to your build to help you get to the game. And on MOBALYTICS too, as you can see, I recently did a Necromancer build here, and you can go to the skill tree and it even shows you the pathway I took to level up my Necromancer. And if you don't like this version, you can go leveling path, and what it will show is it'll show you every level which skills I took. But guys, I highly recommend that you go get a beginner build your first time around. It'll help you get through the game and help you understand the game because you'll be able to play simply without having to think about every single investment with every single skill point. Now, let's say you don't like the build you're going or you didn't like the leveling build you went online. You can simply go down here and hit respec mode. And what this will do, it will refund all your skill points. So from levels 1 to 50, you get a skill point. Now, after level 50, you start getting something called Paragon points. And you get 4 Paragon points per level. As you can see here on my level 60 Barbarian, you see these little blue nodes on the experience bar. So what you get is you get 1, 2, 3. And then when you level up, you get the 4th one. And guys, on the skill tree here, you'll see another tab next to it called Paragon. You simply click on this and this will bring up your Paragon board. Now guys, this is a beginner's build, but this is starting to go more into the intermediate class, but I want to explain it to you as a beginner anyways. And I'm going to try to explain to you as best as I possibly can. So once you start getting those Paragon points after level 50, you're going to start carving your way by getting these smaller nodes that lead up to these sockets, which lead up to other boards. Now that was the most simple way I could have explained the Paragon board, but each node here on these boards represents a different amount of power. So for instance, we have the gray, then we have the blue, then we have the yellow. I'll talk about what the socketed one does next. And then we have legendary nodes. Now these gray ones simply just increase your base stats. So if you see over here, you have a stat chart, which is strength, intelligence, willpower, and dexterity. And every class benefits from a specific stat. So in the case of Barbarian, as you can see, it's higher than all the rest. It's because the Barbarian's main stat is strength. And for Druids, it's willpower, and for Rogues, it's dexterity. But what these gray nodes do is they buff those stats. And then you have these minor blue stats will give you stuff like maximum life and armor. And then you have these rare nodes that give you an additional increase to those maximum life buffs or those armors or those damage buffs. And then the most important one you need to understand here is your socket. So as you're leveling up and you're getting to the game, and once you get later into the game, you start getting these things called glyphs. I'm not going to go over all this right now because this is a lot to explain in the beginner's guide, but you'll start putting them into the sockets that you unlock. And these sockets and these glyphs will further buff the moves that you're going for your build as a barbarian or whatever class you choose to go. Now that's all I'm going to go over for Paragon points, guys. If you guys want to go check out my more advanced guides, once you get to this point, you can go see I have the full Paragon board in display for you. Alright guys, here's a fully upgraded board for my level 100 druid on the Eternal server. So don't mind the stats because none of the armor matters anymore on the Eternal stats. Anyways, that's a long story, but this is a full Paragon board and this is what it looks like. As you can see, it gets pretty extensive. So if you guys have any more questions about Paragon boards, let me know in the comments and I'll try and answer those questions as best as possible. But again, you guys can go over to those MOBALYTICS sites and you can see full Paragon boards there. You can copy paste to your Paragon board if you so choose, and I highly suggest you do that first. All right guys, I think that was a pretty good explanation of the skill and Paragon board for beginners, but let's move on to the second most important thing in this game, the itemization. Alright guys, in the world of Diablo 4, there's something called itemization, and that's what this game is all about. It's about going out there, grinding, fighting demons, and collecting loot. As you can see, I have some loot here, and this is what I'm going through right now. So this is my World Tier 4 Barbarian. So right now I'm collecting these orange items, which is called Legendary, which is the most important. So in the game of Diablo 4, you have different various rarities. You have your items that are highlighted in white, which is the most basic. You'll probably end up selling this or scrapping this. Then you have your magical helms. So this is the second highest rarity. Then you have your rares, which are highlighted in yellow. Then you have your legendaries, which are like an orangey color. And then you have your ubers, which are like this beige color. Now guys, I'm going to be straight up with you. This is my no BS beginner's guide. Don't worry about the white and blues. You're going to blow past these real quick, like right into level 10. You're going to start getting these yellows, which are rares. Now this is what you're going to fill in the spot for until you can start collecting these oranges and these beiges. So the main reason why you want to collect these legendaries is because they come with something called aspects. Now aspects are what's highlighted there in orange. And I'm going a whirlwind build on this barbarian, and as you can see, I have a whirlwind aspect. What this whirlwind aspect does is it makes my core ability do other abilities that do more damage. So that's one version of an aspect. Aspects also come with mobilities. So while unstoppable, which is a keyword, that means I can't be crowd controlled, and crowd controlled means I can't be frozen, stunned, or slowed. And then you also have defensive aspects. So this increases my armor, and my armor reduces the damage I take. So that's all you need to know about the aspects. So try and look for the keywords in the aspects, like whirlwind if you're going a whirlwind build, and try and apply that to your build. Now what you can also do with these legendaries is you can extract that aspect from that legendary. And in this case, it's rupture. So what we can do is we could salvage this. So what salvaging does, so let's say we salvage a white item, you'll see it gives us materials, and you'll be collecting these materials seamlessly throughout the game. Now same for the blue. If we salvage the blue, materials. Yellow, same thing. So it starts to give us these materials that we need to upgrade our armor later in the game. Now, if we salvage a legendary item, yes, it grants us an aspect. So I've already done it. But what that does is it gives us the opportunity to go over here to the occultist. Now, the occultist is also something that you'll unlock during the campaign. But if you skip the campaign, you will unlock the occultist at a certain level. So now that I've extracted that aspect, I can bring over, let's say, one of my weapons. I can go to now something called the Codex of Power. Now this is a Rolodex of all the aspects in the game that buff your character. So because that was a rupture ability, let's type in rupture here and you can search for the aspect you're looking for, and as you can see, it's right here. And now we can select that and we can put this on our weapon. Now guys, one thing I wanted to mention right quick again is aspects come in many shapes and forms. And as you can see, these ones that have the shield icon are our defensive aspects. And then we have our offensive aspects that are indicated by an axe looking weapon. And guys, one thing I wanted to show you here too, it indicates that these aspects can only be put on these items. So our defensive aspects can only be put on a shield, a helmet, a chest piece, a pants piece, or a necklace. And in Diablo 4, you have all your armor here. Then you have your weapons along the bottom. And then on the right hand side, you have your jewelry, which is your necklace and your rings. So for offensive here, again, you only have necklace, your weapons, your gloves, or your ring. So in summary, certain aspects can only go on certain pieces of armor, weapons, or jewelry. And they're all indicated across from the bar that they represent. So guys, one thing I want to stress here too is the rarity of the item goes up as well. So I'm not just talking about rare, legendary, and uber. Also the rarity of the item goes up as well based on the world tier that you're playing in. So in world tiers 1 to 2, you start getting normal items. As you can see here, there's nothing set. It's just a basic item. It's an uber unique, but it's a normal rarity. Once you get into World Tier 3, there's something called Sacred Items. As you can see, it says Sacred Unique Helm. And then the final stage of rarity is Ancestral. So as you can see here, Ancestral Legendary Amulet. Now there's also something, once you get into the Ancestral level of rarity of items, you start getting something called Uber Ancestrals, or I like to call them Primal Ancestrals from Diablo 3. And what the Primal Ancestral does is it takes one of the stats that it gives you and it buffs it to a significant amount. So in this case, the stat that's getting buffed the most is Strength. But guys, I don't want to overcomplicate things. All you need to know is leveling through this game. Just swap out your armor as soon as you see an increase in value. As you can see here, it's indicated in green that it's going to buff me significantly if I equip this. However, if I was to equip something like this, it would significantly nerf my character, meaning it'll make my guy worse because the item power is lower than what I already have. So what you constantly want to do through this game, whether it's rare or legendary items, is keep switching up your items all the way till you get to level 100. So there's another thing I want to mention here, guys. It's called tempering. Now, you won't have to worry about this till you're even further into the late game, and this will significantly fine-tune your build even more. So again, the simplest way I can explain, I'm going a whirlwind build, and it creates these things called dust devils. And as you can see, I've tempered dust devil size. And because the size of the dust devil is bigger, it means it does more damage. And what I'm trying to say here is tempering can further the damage output of your build. And there's also masterworking, but you won't unlock this till way later in the game. Now you can also repair all the items. So as you're out there doing your thing and you're grinding, you're collecting loot, your armor and weapons will take damage. And if you die significantly or you die a certain amount of times, you'll have to come back and repair your stuff. So where you repair everything is at the blacksmith. And also, guys, over at the Occultist, you can enchant your items. Now, don't do this till you're way later in the game because it's not going to matter until you're later in the game, but you could also switch out the affix that you get. So again, items come with affixes, and if let's say you don't like the strength or you don't like the 2 to brawling skills, you could swap that out and enchant it and get a random affix in its place. Now, guys, bear with me. We're almost at the end of itemization here, but there's also something called a jeweler in Diablo 4. And in Diablo 4, there's different various types of gems. We have ruby, amethyst, emerald, topaz, sapphire, diamond, and skull. And as you can see here, I have these circles on my items, which are called sockets. So if your armor or weapons or your jewelry have sockets, you can put gems into them. And as you can see, based on the color of gem you're going, it buffs you in a different way based on what piece of armor, jewelry, or weapon you're putting it in. So as you can see here, if I'm putting a ruby into my weapon, I'm getting overpower damage, which is a type of damage you can deal in Diablo 4. If I put it into my armor, it simply increases my maximum life, which is indicated right here. And if I choose to put in my jewelry, it gives me resistance to fire. So there's also different elements of damage in this game that you get from minions, and it will give you resistance to that, which will increase your survivability. And as for the other colors, it changes. So for the weapon, you get damage over time, or you get in your armor, you get 35 strength, or you get shadow resistance. And so on and so forth for all the different gems. And then you can also unsocket the gems. So let's say if you didn't like the gem you put into your armor, your weapon, or your jewelry, you can also take those gems out. Now the last thing you can do here is you can add sockets to your pieces of armor, weapons, or jewelry. Now guys, I highly suggest you don't do this until you hit level 100. It's a waste of time to put on armor and gear that you're going to be swapping out anyways. Alright guys, I think that's it for itemization. If there's anything I missed, feel free to let me know in the comments, guys. I'll happily answer all your questions. So now I want to talk to you guys about how you're going to level up quick when you start Diablo 4 as a beginner. Now, if you do the campaign, it should take you to about level 40, but let's say you don't want to do the campaign, you just want to skip through that and go to the seasonal stuff. This is how you do it. So let's say you start and you're done the campaign, or you skip the campaign. It's going to prompt you with the seasonal quest, and it's going to take you to this area of the map in Kyrgyzstan. And in this area of the map, we have something called the HELLTIDE. Now the HELLTIDE rotates every hour. So as you can see here, we have 18 minutes left. And after that 18 minutes, it's going to go down for about like 5 or 10 minutes. And then it's going to respawn somewhere over on the map. But the HELLTIDE is going to be the best way to level up your character and the quickest way to level up your character. Alright guys, so here we are in the HELLTIDE. There's a couple things I want to explain to you. So every minion that you fight and every minion that you defeat, in most cases, will drop you something called aberrant cinders. And what these cinders do is once you get to a certain threshold, they allow you to unlock these tortured gifts. And these tortured gifts change from everything from weapons to armor. There's even more rare ones called Tortured Gift of Mysteries. And these Tortured Gifts of Mysteries drop you something called Baleful Hearts. And I'll talk to why you want to collect these next. So in the HELLTIDE, there's something called the Blood Maiden. And what you do is you take these Baleful Hearts, and as you can see, there's one already on this pedestal. And once you have 3 on the pedestal, what it'll do, it will summon the Blood Maiden. And I'll do one here, for example. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to fight a bunch of guys until the Blood Maiden is summoned. And what's going to happen is you're going to see these aberrant cinders being dropped. So you're going to want to collect them as you go. So why I'm suggesting you do this first is because not only will more players join to help the fight, which is a lot of fun, but you're also going to collect a buttload of aberrant cinders to help you unlock those chests that give you those Baleful Hearts. So it's kind of like a rinse and repeat process, and probably the best way to get leveled up real quick in Diablo 4 Season 4. Okay, here she is. That's the Blood Main. So she's like a boss and she's summoned now. So we're all going to collectively try to take her down. And I'll cut the video if I need to, but I think it looks like we should be able to take her out pretty relevantly, pretty quick. Okay, I got Merc there, but that's okay. I think she's gonna get wrecked soon, and there you go. So someone got her, and as you can see, it drops a crazy amount of loot. It drops a nutty amount of loot, and I got an Uber from that. So you're gonna collect a lot of these cinders, and you're gonna be able to unlock those torture gifts with the cinders, and then you're gonna be able to summon her again with the Baleful Hearts. And another way to level up quick in this game, guys, is something called Grim Favors. And how you gain Grim Favor is by doing various objectives on the map of Sanctuary, even some of which you can do within the HELLTIDE. As you can see here, if we complete this objective, we get 3 Grim Favor. And right now we're 9 out of 10, so what I'm going to try and do is get more Grim Favor and show you where you can hand this in next. Guys, here you go. I just jumped into a cellar, which is an objective on the map, and basically all I have to do is clear this cellar to get 1 Grim Favor. So let's go ahead and just let Necromancers do what Necromancers do. Boom. My Mire hideout completed. Boom. Grim Favor maxed out. So in Diablo 4, there's something called the Tree of Whispers, and you can unlock this during the campaign, and again, if you skip the campaign, you'll unlock it anyways. And what you do is you simply talk to the Tree of Whispers, and then you can collect your reward. And once you collect your reward, you get mad experience, and you get loot, which comes in the form of these loot boxes, and once you click on them, loot shower. Now guys, I want you to notice something here too. It's called a Nightmare Sigil. And what these Nightmare Sigils do is that when you activate them, yes, it will teleport you to a dungeon. And what this does to the dungeon is increases the difficulty of the dungeon, and it's also a great way to level up. And this might be a little bit too much information, but remember how I was talking about glyphs before? Nightmare dungeons, at the end of them, once you finish them, you can also level up those glyphs. Yes, those glyphs level up too. But again, this is a beginner's guide. We'll talk more about that in a different video. Now guys, the last thing I want to mention here is when you're journeying through the HELLTIDE, which is going to be the main place you're going to be spending most of your time leveling up, you're going to be collecting reputation as well for the Iron Wolves. And the Iron Wolves will reward you with certain gifts and certain items that will help you progress even faster through the game. So guys, I highly suggest that you spend majority of your time in the HELLTIDE collecting that renown with the Iron Wolves. Now guys, that's the best advice I can give you for leveling quick, especially if you're new to the game. The first thing you want to do is either do the campaign or skip the campaign and go straight into the HELLTIDE and level up. Now guys, the last thing I want to talk about here is the endgame. So the endgame is the signature of all ARPGs. That means once you hit the max level, there's endgame activities that you want to complete. And the first of which is called the pit. So once you hit level 70, I believe, or level 100, you'll unlock the pit. Now this is an endgame feature where you can continue your grind for loot and getting new gear and trying to better your character. And there's something in this game called min-maxing. So that's where you get the most specific stats to make your character the best possible. And the pit is also a way that you can limit test your character once you've hit level 100. And what I'm going to do is include a video for you guys of the pit right here. This is what I played on the PTR with my Whirlwind Bard. Now there's also something in this game called Uber Bosses. Now what Uber Bosses are is something like the Blood Maiden, but they're way more difficult and you have to either do it in a group or in some cases, if you're really good, you can do it solo. But this is another end game mechanic that you can play to better your character. And I don't know if you remember, but when I was talking about the itemization, there's something in this game called Uber Uniques. And there's a term called target farming. So that means you can target farm Uber Uniques. So you can fight specific Uber bosses to get the Uber Unique of your choice. And what Uber Uniques are items that can absolutely just break open and totally make your character overpowered. Alright guys, just to close out the video here, my final tip is just have fun. Enjoy the game for what it's worth. The game is in the best place it's ever been. And I'm so happy to see that we're in a place now where it's actually fun to play. And feel free to ask me any questions, guys. If there's any terminology you didn't understand or if there's something you didn't understand about this beginner's guide, let me know down in the comments and I'd be more than happy to answer those questions. Well, guys, that does it for me. I really hope you enjoyed this beginner's guide. If I forgot anything, please let me know. I'm your boy Jajiro. Sign out for now. Peace.